going on, Jerome's? We're back taking a look at another mock draft. Our guy Jordan Reid over at the Draft Network just released his 6.0, and there's a lot of fun things going on. A run on quarterbacks. The Vikings trade down, still get some nice on the offensive line. Now, full disclosure, Jordan is a Vikings fan, so the Vikings on the trade down, yeah, we get some good value. So let's dive on in. First up is, of course, Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence. I don't think this is going to change, and even the most hottest draft takes, I still don't think Trevor Lawrence is going to drop from 1. Although, yes, we did see that Chris Sims ranked him number 2 behind Zach Wilson in his quarterback ranking, except I think that's much more about Wilson than it is about Lawrence. But, yeah, Jaguars taking their sweet time. I mean, they could announce the pick now, but they're playing the game, seeing if someone wants to come up and offer 5 first-round picks. Probably not going to happen, so it's going to be Trevor Lawrence and Duval. Number 2, Jets. So I think that they are playing poker a little bit with what's going to happen with Sam Darnold, and you've seen leaks on both sides. Well, the Jets are going to run it back with Darnold. Oh, the Jets are now shopping Sam Darnold. I think that eventually they will take a quarterback at 2. I think they will stick and pick. I think Zach Wilson is going to be that guy. Joe Wilson gets his own dude because remember, Mike McCagnon had drafted Darnold. But I don't think it's a given that they automatically trade Darnold right away, where I actually think that maybe there is a possibility that they hang on to both of them. Because remember, Darnold is only heading to year 3. They technically have control over him over the next 3 years if they pick up his 5th-year option. So you can have 2 young quarterbacks on relatively cheap deals, even though they're both top 3 picks, and then just see who wins. And guess what? The loser is going to have significant trade value. So I don't know if they just cash in the Darnold chit right now. So we'll see. Next up, Panthers trade all the way up. So they give up their first rounder, second rounder, a 5th, and a future first round pick to get up to 3. That's a lot of draft capital to move up 5 spots, but it be what it be. Getting their guy Justin Fields out of The Ohio State University. Now, we've talked about Fields' downsides, except the upside are really, really big as well. He's got great intangibles, great leader, mature kid, big arm, can be extremely deadly accurate at times. That mobility is up there amongst the best in the draft. So, yeah, going up and getting your guy, if you're sold on him, Panthers, I'm going to make him the face of the franchise. Whatever happens with Teddy, whatever. But perfect spot with the weapons. Hopefully they can hang on to Curtis Samuel. They got Christian McCaffrey, who they do not have to give up and trade for Deshaun Watson. They're probably going to franchise Taylor Moton, row the boat. Solid tackle, and then also you have Joe Brady. So it's a really nice landing spot for Justin Fields, and hopefully he can maximize on his potential. So quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3. Let's get that thing going. 4, the Falcons were like, well, crap, because I think that Arthur Smith and Fontenot and the Falcons were going to take whatever was left over from the quarterback run, because Matt Ryan going to be 36, or is he 36? It's one of the two. Either way, he's aging out, and getting your quarterback of the future. I mean, how many times are you going to be drafting top 4? And that's where the high-end quarterbacks are going to go. But absent that, and then they got leapfrogged by their divisional rival, the Panthers, and I'm sure that they'll have to hear about that twice a year. But taking BP at this spot, if they can't trade down, sure, Penny Sewell, where, yeah, they do have 2 solid tackles in McGarry and Jake Matthews, but kicking McGarry inside, I would leave Matthews. Actually, what would I do? Matthews is a pretty solid left tackle, but Penny Sewell could be generational. Maybe it's a spot where you have Matthews at left tackle and you have Sewell at right tackle right away, because remember, Penny Sewell is still pretty raw. He only played 2 years. I think he's only 20. Well, either he's 20 or he's just barely 21. But getting his feet wet in the NFL game on that right side, using his physical tools, and then kicking McGarry inside, who I think could do swimmingly at guard. Maybe that's the way to go about it. But yeah, sticking and picking BPA. Take Penny Sewell, protect Matt Ryan. Although, man, Jamar Chase and Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones would be a ton of fun, but it'd be what it'd be. 5, Bengals. So they miss out on Penny Sewell, but picking up Jamar Chase. Burrow, Chase, reunited, and it feels so good. 20 touchdowns in 2019, no big deal. So a big, tough, outside the numbers receiver for Joe Burrow. And they already got T. Higgins. They already got Tyler Boyd. So that's a nice wide receiver trio for the Bengals. 6, Eagles, Devontae Smith. So you could think maybe they take Trey Lance. I think that if Justin Fields would have gotten to 6, they would have given serious thought about it. But they're going to build around Jalen Hurts, see what he can do. And if he's not the guy, they'll go after quarterback next year. But Devontae Smith, dynamic playmaker. Ignore the frame, ignore the size. Ironically, he is frame-wise, he's a lot like Marvin Harrison. Those comps are there. Marvin Harrison, a native son of Philadelphia. So Devontae Smith coming on in. Wow. I mean, that's going to be a lot of fun. Devontae, hopefully a healthy Jalen Reagor. They're probably going to cut Zach Ertz, and they have Dallas Goedert for one more year. But that's decent weapons for Jalen Hurts, although the offensive line is still in shambles. It is ashes. It is. 7. So there's a trade. So the Lions move down. The Niners move up. The Niners give up a 1, 3, 4, and a future first. Lynch and Shanahan make their move. No pants to Trey Lance. I think that he could perform swimmingly and do extremely well in Shanahan's movement-based West Coast offense. And the nice thing about it is that Trey Lance doesn't have to start right away. I think that year off, as well as the jump from FCS to the NFL, plus he only had 1 year of starting experience, I think sitting him for a year does make a ton of sense. So in this universe, they do keep Jimmy Garoppolo on his absorbent contract, but I think it's the best thing for Trey Lance, because if you threw him in the fire right away, especially depending on what going to happen with OTAs and potentially preseason this year due to the Rona still hanging around. But I like it. John Lynch is extremely aggressive, is going to go get his guy. And, absent Lance landing with the Vikings, if strictly wanting him to have the best NFL career, I think the Niners is a phenomenal spot for him. 8. So the Dolphins traded down from 3 to 8. They picked up a future first, another second. So they have 3 second-round picks, and it's also a high second-round pick. Plus they get a 5th. Wow. So they trade down and still get Jalen Waddle. That's pretty damn amazing. So Jalen Waddle reunited with Tua, got that long speed. Waddle with Parker and Preston. That's a nice trio for Devontae. Plus they have Mike Gesicki, who's really starting to come into his own. 9, Broncos. So they miss out on Trey Lance. Now, do you see a spot where the Broncos and George Payton go up and get Trey Lance? Sure. Could they reach for Mac Jones? Could they just stick and pick Mac Jones in this spot? It's a possibility. But Caleb Farley, cornerback 1 in this draft, has that length on the outside, replacing AJ Bouye, and Vic Fangio gets his guy. So I mean, you could really see Mac Jones at 9, couldn't you? But now Caleb Farley is just that dude. 10. So the Cowboys picking up Surtain the second out of Alabama. They go Bama with Trevon Diggs at cornerback. So they spend a second rounder last year, a top 10 pick this year on cornerback. Hopefully that's going to get that room right. Now they could go surprise because defensive back is in shambles, but safety is a mite worse than cornerback. So could they go surprise and go Trevin Moehrig in the top 10? He is right in their backyard in Fort Worth at TCU, but no. 11. Giants. So they miss out on Waddle, they miss out on Chase, they miss out on Devontae, but they get a de facto wide receiver in mismatch nightmare Kyle Pitts. And I actually really love this pick and fit, because I know Giants fans are bummed about Evan Ingram. Oh, we're taking another uber athletic tight end. Kyle Pitts is twice the player Evan Ingram was. He just is. But he can play that X receiver spot. Like, he can be a modern day Plexico for Giants fans, and also he can be an inline tight end, and he's really just going to help out Danny Dimes. And they have to figure out if he's going to be the quarterback of the future, and I think Kyle Pitts will give them the best look possible. 12. So the Lions move down from 7 to 12. They get a future first rounder as well as a 3rd and a 4th. And they still get Micah Parsons, who they probably would have taken at 7. Whew, that is a coup for Brad Holmes. I absolutely love it. I love it, man. And with the Lions, it's going to be a multi-year rebuild. Like, you could make the case that Jared Goff is just they're just warehousing his contract, and they got that extra first rounder out of the Rams for it, and they're just sort of like, whatever. But taking BPA, Micah Parsons can be that man in the middle. He can also rush. So yeah, it's a nice way to start that rebuild and reboot in the Motor City. 13. Chargers fixing that offensive line no matter what. Slater, I'm not going to mess around with Slater inside at guard, even though, yes, you busted with Feeney as well as with Lamp, but put him at left tackle and then just set it and forget it. You have Justin Herbert's blindside protector for the next decade. 14. Oh, So the Vikings trade on down. The Vikings get back into the second round, picking up 53, as well as the Titans' first round pick, and then they swap fourths. So this is one that had been talked about before, where if the Vikings are able to trade down, remain in the first, and get a second, a team like Tennessee, a team like Pittsburgh would be nice targets for that. But the Titans come all the way up, and they take Azeez Ojulari off the board. First edge rusher. So Pay, Rousseau, Phillips still there. Azeez is that guy, redshirt sophomore out of Georgia. Now, super raw, but man, his ability to bend and get that edge, it really is otherworldly. And if he can just bring that right away for the Titans, that would be super impressive. So they'd have Azeez, they'd have Landry out on the edge, plus they have Jeffrey Simmons inside. That's a nice little get off and get it for the Titans, where Azeez, the rest of his game needs refinement. And there are times during the season where he disappeared. But after Hudson went out of the Cincinnati game, he completely dominated. He took over the Peach Bowl, and I think that's what stood out to the Titans, because Azeez's ceiling is just as high, if not higher, than Kwity Paye, than Rousseau, than Phillips, etc. I would still take Kwity Paye in this spot because I think that his floor is a lot higher. But Azeez, I love Azeez, man. Azeez is my edge rusher too, and go get that. 15. Patriots don't have to do anything, and they still get Mac Jones, where the pipeline between Belichick and Saban, of course, they go way back like chiropractic, and he's going to get the dirt on Mac Jones, even though I don't think Mac Jones has any dirt at all. I think he's just a good dude, a good teammate, and a leader, a great distributor of the football, but they need weapons. They do need weapons, and we're going to find out if Mac Jones can be that guy without all-world receiver talent, although they still consistently have a good offensive line in New England, even though they are probably going to lose Joe Thuney and maybe Andrews as well. 16. So it would be fun to go weapons here or defensively, Pay or Rousseau, but Elijah Vera Tucker, AVT, protecting Kyler, insulating him as much as possible. Can play guard, can potentially play tackle. I'd rather keep him at guard. There you go. 17, Raiders. Ever since they traded Khalil Mack, it's like the curse of the Bambino. They just cannot find edge help except for Max Crosby out of Eastern Michigan. Was he a 6th-round pick or a 5th-round pick? Doesn't matter. But yeah, number 4 overall pick, Clelin Ferrell, who we knew wasn't a bad pick. It was just you way overdrafted him. I mean, Clelin Ferrell probably was a late first rounder, maybe early second round talent, but you take him at 4 overall. Hasn't panned out, which is unfortunate. He's a good guy. But Kwity Paye in this spot, you miss out on Azeez, but you still get a guy that on a lot of people's boards is going to be edge rusher 1. Put him in that defensive line and set it and forget it. Oh, reunited him with Maurice Hurst. There you go. 18, Dolphins, Zaven Collins, where this is a really fun player for Brian Flores' defense. Long, fearsome linebacker, great in coverage, can rush from the edge, can rush from the A gaps and the B gaps, can basically do everything, and is going to be, because that was the one drawback where Flores is really rejuvenating that defense, but they just missed a consistent edge presence, and Zaven can bring that as well as cover and just be a great Sam linebacker. It's going to be a lot of fun watching him on South Beach. 19, Washington. They never really replaced Trent Williams after they punted on him. So Darisaw, keeping him in the DMV area, the pride of Virginia Tech, and he's a guy that I absolutely love. I think that his draft stock is going to shoot up after his pro day or whatever the combine is this year. But putting him in at left tackle, getting him at 19, I think that's phenomenal value. 20. So the Jets trade up and swappy with the Bears. They come up for J.C. Horn, which is smart because I think the Colts would have taken him at 21 if he was still on board. But Robert Saleh, the brand new head coach of the Jets, does need a lengthy cornerback for his cover 3 defense. Look at Richard Sherman in Seattle. Look at Richard Sherman in San Francisco. So J.C. Horn, I really like J.C. Horn, man. Son of Joe Horn. He's going to call up that phone. Ooh, actually, he should take his draft day phone call from the team taking him on the phone that his dad took out from the stanchion in the end zone. That'd be great. That would be great. But the Jets, so they come away with Zach Wilson, and they come away with a great defensive piece in J.C. Horn. I really love that draft for the Jets. 21. So the Colts miss out on J.C. Horn. They probably would have taken him to pair him up with Rocky Sin, as well as, Kenny Moore. Slot cornerback is really good. So good that I forget his name. 21. So the Colts, Chris Ballard likes them long and lengthy on the defensive line. You look at DeForest Buckner. Now you look at Gregory Rousseau. And I think a spot like the Colts is the perfect spot for him, where Rousseau. So I'm not in love with Rousseau and the Vikings because he would have to play right away, and he doesn't have a distinct position. But if he can go to a team where he can platoon, where he can be a rotational guy, where he can play some edge, where he can play some 3-tech, where he can play some 5-tech, where he can play some 1-tech, he can do all the things. Colts, that's a really great spot for him. It really is. Now, you could say the Colts, well, what are they going to do about offensive tackle? Well, maybe they dip into free agency. Maybe they bring over Villanueva from the Steelers, or I don't know. Maybe they go a different direction there. But, yeah, just going BPA. Chris Ballard is an absolute gangster. I like it. 22. The Vikings trade now for 14-22. They pick up a second-round pick, number 53 overall. You like to see that. And they still dip into the offensive line. So Samuel Cosby, the pride of Texas, a name that's sort of cooled off in the draft recently, but he is a physical freak. And early on in the process, we compared him to Brian O'Neill and Ezra Cleveland. He is that physical freak, basketball, power forward type body tackle in this draft. 6'7", 309, a 90.8 PFF grade last year, 8 pressures and 2 sacks allowed. Did phenomenal job watching Sam Ehlinger's ass. And if the Vikings do retain Riley Reif, picking up a guy like Sam Cosby, having him be the swing tackle, be the 6th offensive lineman, redshirting him for a year, I think that is extremely smart. And I know what you're saying. Well, what about Ezra? Having multiple dudes who can competently play left tackle, that's never a bad thing. Look what happened with the Chiefs in the Super Bowl. Or hell, turn Cosby into a guard too. Just play both of them out of position. I don't really care. Or hell, maybe Cosby impresses enough in training camp where you have him at left tackle, you kick Reif into guard, or hell, maybe you just play Cosby at left guard. Why the hell not? Actually, I don't like it. But either way, I like him. I don't necessarily like him at guard, but, it'd be what it be. 23, the Bears. So the Bears definitely need some offensive line help. Picking up a guy like Jim Mayfield out of Michigan, the redshirt sophomore, absolutely big slobber knocker, offensive lineman. You put him at a right tackle, replace Jermaine Ifedi, replace Rashawn Coward, or play him at guard. So inside, it would be an upgrade over Alex Bars, but inside it would be James Daniels, Whitehair, and Mayfield. That's pretty good. That's pretty damn good. 24, Steelers taking Tevin Jenkins. Now, Tevin Jenkins primarily played right tackle at Oklahoma State. You could maybe move him to the left side. I would be okay with that, just like Jedrick Wills moved from right to left, going from Bama to the Browns last year. But Jenkins is a tough dude. May as well put him at right tackle, and they could move Okorafor from right tackle to left tackle to replace Villanueva, who's probably going to leave in free agency. 25, Jaguars picking up Christian Barmore. You could go weapons or protection for Lawrence, but going with the big upside, Christian Barmore, get some. Him and Devon Hamilton on the inside, let's get it. 26. So the Browns picking up Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, money backer for defense coordinator Joe Woods. In a division where you have a guy like Mark Andrews, having a guy like Joke could match up. Plus, if you are going to have big playoff aspirations, you are going to come up against the level boss, Travis Kelce. So having a dude who could erase him makes sense. 27. Ravens receiver, Rashad Bateman. His sub 4.40 did him huge favors. I think that he is almost cemented in the first round. But having a tough outside the numbers guy, going with Hollywood Brown, going with Boykins, that's a really Boykin. There we go. That's a really nice trio for Lamar Jackson. And now they don't have to bring Dez back because they have a better, younger version of Dez. 28. Saints picking up Trevin Moehrig. Marcus Williams out, Trevin Moehrig in. There's going to be a lot of needs for the Saints. Quarterback, offensive line, linebacker. But, Moehrig does check one of the boxes. He's the first and only safety in the first round. 29, Packers picking up Greg Newsome II. Now, this is interesting because Terrace Marshall Jr. is on board, Elijah Moore, Kadarius Toney, Rondale Moore. A lot of really fun wide receiver options for the octogenarian Aaron Rodgers. But Newsome and Jair Alexander will be problems. Where Kevin King, Greg Newsome, wow. I hate it. 30, Bills pick up Najee Harris. A little bit questionable because they did take Zach Moss last year. Plus, they had Devin Singletary from a couple years ago. Now, Singletary is whatever. Zach Moss, can he stay healthy? But Najee Harris is a dude, man. Like maybe maybe the Bills look covetously at the Tennessee Titans. It's like, hey, what if Derrick Henry could catch? And that's Najee Harris, where, man, he is just a battering ram. Plus, soft hands. He's really good. So I sort of get it. Maybe they could use some front seven help as well. Matt Milano could potentially leave in free agency unless they franchise tag him. Jerry Hughes isn't getting younger. AJ Epinesa, 31. So this is a reactionary pick to the Super Bowl. Eichenberg. Now, they could have issues with Mitchell Schwartz. Like maybe they move on, maybe they trade him, maybe they do whatever. But Schwartz is up in the air. Eichenberg, if they hang on to Schwartz, could play guard for a year. Eventually, he could supplant him at right tackle. You would feel better. You would feel okay playing him at left tackle, depending what happens with Eric Fisher. Hell, maybe he's a surprise cut or trade. Who knows? But yeah, after the Super Bowl last year, Mike Remmers, go with the offensive line. Yeah. And the 32, the Bucks picking up Jalen Phillips, a heavy-handed edge rusher replacing Shaq Barrett, who they're probably going to lose in free agency. Plus, JPP is not getting any younger. I think this is a good spot for Phillips. Stays in the Sunshine State, although he went to UCLA first, but that's whatever. Dude's still on the board. So Kyle Trask. And with the run on quarterbacks, 1, 2, 3, as well as Trey Lance at 7, So all four of the big four quarterbacks go in the top 7, and then Mac Jones goes at 15. You think maybe Kyle Trask could be reached in the first round at the back end, but not so much. Travis Etienne, no go. Only Najee Harris win the first round. Wide receivers, like I mentioned, Marshall, Moore, Tony, and the other Moore. All still available for Freiermuth, no go. Offensive line, Leatherwood, Dickerson, Davis. I actually think that at this stage, Leatherwood's probably not going to be a first-round pick. Same thing with Dickerson. Although, wherever Dickerson lands, man, just give me a rock star. Like I'm looking very covetously. Since the Vikings traded down with the Tennessee Titans and got back into the second round, I would maneuver in the second and go get Dickerson, because I know the Vikings do have other needs, but go get him. Go get him. Jason, defensive line, Owe, Basham, Tryon, Aside did not make it. Davion Nixon and Onwuzurike, no go. Bolton, Campbell, Samuel Jr., and Javon Holland also did not make the first round. But, I mean, if this is how it went down, there we go. If this is how it went down and the Vikings are able to trade down from 14 and get back into the second round, it's probably unlikely, but, man, we will take that value. Now, Tennessee, I get that maybe they're really in on Aziz, but they could still stick at 20. Well, I mean, there was a run on edge rushers, wasn't there? So pay it at 17, and then they had Rousseau at 21. I mean, Aziz probably wouldn't have made it 22, but they could have had their choice. But, I mean, if Tennessee's ready to give up that second, love it. Plus, Cosby, I do like Cosby. Early on in the draft process, I thought that he would be a perfect scheme fit for what the Vikings traditionally have done on the offensive line. And if they get him at 22 as well as pick up that second, let's go. So you have 3 physical freak tackles, or tackles in a guard body in Cosby, Ezra, as well as Brian O'Neill. Let's go get some. Let's go hunt, man. Let's go. But your thoughts, Jordan Reid's mock draft 6.0, Vikings trade down. Let us know in the comments section below. Subscribe for daily Vikings takes. Most support that work. Post something in the Venmo. But until next time, Skol, production value.